Let's bring in Ömer Özkizilcik, a foreign policy and security analyst, joining us live from Ankara. Thank you so much for being with us. Before we get into all of the political ramifications, describe for our audience what it means to the Muslim world when the book, their holy book, the Quran, is engulfed in flames like this in front of the Turkish embassy, a Muslim country. Walk our viewers through what that means.
So from the perspective of the Muslims, and I also think from perspective of all humankind, this is a major offense, and this is something which enrages all Muslims in the world to their core, in their hearts, and this is something which highly offends any Muslim in the world, and this is totally unacceptable. So this is to make a comparison, not in part of freedom of expression. There are some things in this world which are not and cannot be part of freedom of expression. To deny the Holocaust, this is not freedom of expression. To engage in blatant racism, this is not freedom of expression. And burning the Holy Quran should also not be considered as freedom of expression. This is something which enrages all of the Muslims, and this is something, honestly, which is symbolically more offensive than many other things which could be done. And this is something which overflies all of the political difference in the Muslim world. And this is something which actually unites all the Muslims. And doing such a thing cannot be accepted and should not be tolerated.
Well, Ankara now saying it's canceling a visit by Sweden's defense minister. That visit aimed at overcoming Turkey's objections to its NATO membership. Now, Sweden needs Turkey's backing to gain entry into that military alliance, and fears are growing in Europe as of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Turkey is also strategically placed in the world and is quite a strong regional partner. What does this now mean for Finland and Sweden's ascension into the alliance? How's it going to work?
So we have to differentiate here clearly between Finland and Sweden. Even though these two nations want to join NATO together or not at all, we have to say that the Turkish position regarding Finland is quite positive. We have seen that so far the Finnish government was able to implement the memorandum mostly signed between Sweden, Finland and Turkey. However, when it comes to Sweden, even before the burning of the Quran, which, to my opinion, cancelled any possibility of Sweden joining NATO, because at this point, even if the Turkish government would somehow accept Sweden, it's impossible that the Turkish parliament will ratify Sweden becoming a member of NATO. This is something that even the president of Turkey cannot convince his own political party to support. And we also have the Turkish nationalist MHP, also a member of the Turkish ruling coalition, and they will also not support this. So this is a no-go at the moment for Sweden. But even before the burning of the Quran, the likelihood of Sweden joining NATO seemed very dire, as Sweden has still not cancelled bank accounts who collect and transfer money to the PKK. And the PKK's demonstration and networks and organizations still operate in Sweden. And we have seen that Sweden has so far not extradited people Turkey demanded from Sweden to be extradited to Turkey. And Sweden actually accepted to extradite. And so, therefore, even before the burning of the Quran, it did not look positive for Sweden, and now it's impossible. So I think the decision which needs to be made and discussed from now on is if Finland wants to join NATO by its own, or if Finland will become a hostage of Sweden's misbehavior and misconduct.
And very quickly, what are we hearing from Turkish officials on this matter, on how this one incident created a domino effect into everything else? What are we hearing from Turkish officials specifically?
So when it comes to Turkish officials, the Turkish officials have clearly and strongly condemned this burning of the holy book of Quran. And the Turkish officials have underlined that this is actually a show of why Turkey demanded from Sweden some change before accepting Sweden into NATO. Because from the Turkish perspective, this incident of the far right cannot be looked at without looking at also into the issue of the PKK's network there. And this extended freedom of expression of Sweden is something which is not sustainable, and it's something which is a security risk for all NATO states. And the Turkish officials, also the Turkish opposition, has strongly condemned this, and the approach is it's enough. We don't want to discuss anything more with you until you sort out your own domestic politics.
Ömer Özkizilcik joining us live from Ankara this evening. Thank you.